Hey guys, today I'm gonna be recapping Summer House Season 9, Episode 6, and I'm looking through my notes right now, and it seems like it was surprisingly not as eventful as I thought I would be, because I really didn't write much down, so let's call this a rapid-fire recap. Basically, this whole episode is just about Craig coming to the Hamptons and his relationship with Paige, and also now his relationship with Kyle, and seeing how those things are gonna play out. So Craig and Paige pick Gabby up to go to the house together, and Craig fills Gabby in on what Kyle said on Watch What Happens Live. I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch What Happens Live. I know I should. Sometimes I watch when there are like guests that I know, like when Matt and Bowen are on or something like that, but like even I have my limits with reality TV. Like Watch What Happens Live I think would be just like crossing over the edge for me into like a little too much, because I don't need to know that much about people's personal lives. So needless to say, I did not see it. But basically, Kyle went on Watch What Happens Live and just said what he's been saying. It was a huge betrayal, and Craig just didn't approach it the right way. And if he had just come to Kyle and talked about it before posting about the alcohol brand, everything would be okay. And Craig is kind of just thinking what a lot of people are thinking, like it's really not that big of a deal. I will say he does say something like, oh, Kylie and Kendall are sisters and they both have alcohol brands, which is like, okay. Like I think Paige and Gabby laugh at that a little too, but it's like, girl, you are not Kylie and Kendall. You are not at that level of like influence or fame, which makes this even less of a big deal than Kyle thinks this is. Carl is throwing a pirate themed party this weekend, and he's really happy Lindsay is gonna be there. It's so funny because it's like, I do like feel for him in the sense that like, if you like think of Summer House as like, it's really their jobs. I know they don't want us to like, they don't want the cast to like break the fourth wall and say it in that way, but like this show is their job. So imagine if you had to like work with your ex-fiance, and every weekend when you showed up to work, your ex-fiance was there, and there's literally no way to get out of it. It's your only source of income is being on this show. Like, I do kind of feel bad for him that he's in this situation, even though it is like a little funny. But some girl named Lil slid into his DMs and is going to be coming to this party. So Project Get Carl Laid is underway. Am I particularly invested in seeing Carl get laid? Not really. There's something about the men on this show where I see them as like such asexual beings. I don't know how to explain it. I like don't see them in a sexual way at all. Like the thought of them having sex, it's like I obviously don't think about it. Like I'm not weird. So am I like super invested in like let's get Carl laid after like a year of not having sex? No, but it is kind of cute to see it play out. I like that the way they're kind of playing it is like Carl is completely clueless about women, and like his friends are trying to figure out how to get him one. That's like fine with me. And on top of everything, today is Amanda's birthday. So she and Kyle come to the house last, and Kyle in his confessional is like, okay, the plan this weekend is to confront Craig because he still hasn't apologized. I just think it's so funny that like Kyle's first knee-jerk reaction to everything is always just like, they owe me an apology. Like I'm mad at them because they owe me an apology and they haven't apologized yet. And it's like, okay, let's step back and let's think about your role in this. Like it's the same reason why he was so upset at Paige, and then Amanda had to like sit him down and be like, okay, well actually it's not just her that's doing something. You're the one who started all of this. You're initiating all of this drama. This has nothing to do with her. And then that's when Kyle sits back and thinks like, okay, maybe I'm not like perfect and I didn't do anything wrong. It's like the same thing with Craig, is like, you just can't sit somebody down and just be like, you owe me an apology and I don't have to do anything. It's only you that did something wrong. It's like, it's not fun to be friends with a person like that. You don't want to be friends with a person who you constantly have to like walk on eggshells around. Carl is announcing Soft Bar next week. It's like his new brand. Remember when he talked about launching the non-alcoholic bar and Lindsay just like called it stupid? She was like, nobody's gonna want to go to that. So his whole thing is it's basically just an elevated non-alcoholic bar. That's it. It's like a bar where you go, except it's all mocktails and they're like artisanal. They're like very cool. And my like knee-jerk reaction as somebody who does drink alcohol and doesn't have a problem with alcohol, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh my God, that is such a stupid idea. But then I stopped and I thought, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not the target consumer for this. I'm just not the target consumer for his brand. I drink alcohol. I have no problem drinking alcohol. To be honest, I don't have a lot of sober friends. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 sober friends. So I'm just not the target audience, and I don't want to pass judgment. I feel like I see online a lot of sober people, or just people who just don't want to drink, say like, I wish we had more third spaces that were not coffee shops, because you know coffee shops close at like 4 or 5 p.m. So in that sense, I actually think this could be a great idea. I know I don't have experience running like hospitality, like a business or a restaurant or whatever, so I don't know, but I'm trying to avoid passing judgment, because my knee-jerk reaction really was to be like, oh my god, that's so stupid, a bar that just serves mocktails. But like, I'm just not the target audience. I just don't need to go. There are a ton of people who I'm sure would love to go somewhere like this. Jessie wants to talk to Sierra because right now she like won't even acknowledge West is like, oh, she won't even make eye contact with me. Like at this point, if I even get like a hi and a bye, that's gonna be a huge win for me. And Jessie is like, oh, last year the 3 of us were so close and we hung out all the time. Like, I really want to get back to that. And I was kind of thinking back, and I was like, were they? I mean, I know Jessie has always flirted with Sierra. That's been something that's been happening. But I'm like, I guess I don't really remember them all being like super close friends. But I guess he's like just really trying to get back into a trio with the 3 of them. Which is, of course, like not gonna happen. I don't even think West really wants that. Because West seems like the kind of guy, in my opinion, this is just truly a theory, West seems like the kind of guy where he is not gonna like hang out with a woman in a friendly way unless he wants to sleep with her. He and Sierra have already done what they've done. He clearly doesn't want to do it again. So I'm like, does he even want to get to a place with Sierra where they're like all meeting up and hanging out? I don't even think he wants that. He just wants to like be cordial and be like friends in a group sense. But I don't even think he wants a trio the way that like Jessie wants that. Then Jessie asks West, they're in the same conversation in the bedroom. He asks West if he's like dating someone, and he's like, oh, I've been seeing this girl's name pop up in your phone all the time. And West in the confessional just finally confesses what we all know. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really like attention. That girl who he's talking about, like, we are not together. She lives in Montana. Like, I definitely don't want to get with her. And also, if I was that girl in Montana, I would be pissed, because I feel like the way West says it is, he's like, Jessie is like, oh, is something going on with that girl? And then in the confessional, the producer is like, is something going on with that girl? Like, are you dating? And he goes like, no. And I feel like if a guy said it that way about me, I'd be like, okay, don't try to act like it repulses you that much. Like, don't try to act, you know, like the way that West just said it was like, what? No. I was like, okay, you don't need to be so dramatic about it. Like, if I saw that and I saw a guy saying that about me, like, oh, are you and Liz dating? Are you hooking up with Liz? And he was like, no. I'd be like, damn, like, okay. Complete side note and totally irrelevant, but Paige is trying to talk to her cat through the Pet Libro feeder. I noticed that on her phone. She has the Pet Libro feeder, and she's looking through the camera to talk to her cat. That is the same way that I talk to my 2 cats, Olive and Sesame, through the little Pet Libro feeder. I think Paige's cat is so adorable, but it makes me sad that it seems like she leaves her home. I'm assuming she leaves her home alone every time she goes to the house. That's like the vibe that I got. And the cat is a single cat. The cat doesn't have a friend. I feel like Paige needs to get a second cat. Cats really need to be in pairs. Like, Liz, I'm not a freak. I'm not gonna like leave hate comments on Paige's Instagram, but sometimes like I see Paige traveling with Daphne. I see Paige like leaving Daphne in the house, and I've heard that on Giggly Squad she talks about like Daphne pooping outside of the litter box. I'm like, girl, I don't know, this cat sounds stressed and this cat sounds like she needs a friend, and I don't know if this cat should be traveling so much. I don't know, just as a cat owner, it gives me pause. I'm like, I don't know, I feel like this cat is not, it's not, I don't know, it's not doing what it should be doing. Like, the cat really should be in the house with a little friend. But anyway, it's Amanda's birthday dinner. Jessie is the instigator. This felt so, like, producer-led. This felt so, like, planted. But Jessie was like, oh, like, Kyle and Craig, like, it seems like you're getting along super well. Have you guys squashed your beef? It literally sounds like a line that a producer fed him through an earpiece. Have you guys squashed your beef? And then Kyle's like, well, no, but like, I sent Craig a few like kind texts ahead of time, just being like, I wanted to talk. And Craig was like, yeah, they were nice texts. Like, I responded to those texts. Like, it was immediately very tense. And then Kyle, in that moment, tries to start a conversation with Craig about the drama, and then Craig does his usual like pissy little Craig thing. It's like you can tell why these guys were once close, is that they are basically the same person. Craig does his like pissy little Craig thing, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it right now. And then he gets up and he walks off. Now Kyle is pissy, and Kyle is doing his little pissy Kyle thing, and he walks off into the backyard, and he's just like cursing under his breath and calling him like a weirdo or an asshole or whatever. And it's like, I mean, I don't know if I care about this beef enough to have like a side, but if I'm choosing like who I agree with, it's probably Craig, even though I do think, I mean, if my friend had an alcohol brand and I was about to post a sponsorship with a different alcohol brand, I would totally text that friend first and be like, hey, I'm doing this. It's purely business. Like, they cut me a check and I wanted the check. Like, that's probably what I would say, like something like that. So I do think that Craig should have done that. It's unclear as to whether or not he actually did. I feel like Kyle's saying he didn't. Craig is saying that he did. So in that sense, it's like I understand where Kyle is coming from. But I'm on Craig's side in the sense that like Kyle is blowing this way out of proportion. And I'm on Paige's side in the sense that this has nothing to do with her. This is totally not her business. Like, a girl is not responsible for her boyfriend's actions. Like, especially something like this that's so inoffensive and inconsequential. So then, yes, the next day, or no, after the guys went out, Craig and Paige are in bed, and he tells her that he didn't want to talk to Kyle because essentially Kyle was like being a little too alpha about it. Kyle was like, oh, we can just do this. We can just do this real quick. Just do this real quick. And Craig is like, well, I don't want to do it real quick. Like, if we're going to do this, it's going to be on my terms. They are literally exactly the same person. And I feel like I'm just now realizing it this season, like seeing this play out. I'm like, oh, you're the exact same person. Like, I just want to do this on my terms. Sounds like something that Kyle would say. So whatever. I just love, I hope that now that Paige and Craig broke up, like, I watch Southern Charm, so it's like, obviously I'm still gonna be seeing Craig, but like, it's gonna be nice to see a little less of Craig. It's definitely, like, him on Winter House was just like insufferable. On Summer House, he like really gets on my nerves. Something about him is like, I almost like him. There are so many times where I almost like him, and then he does something to take it away. Amanda's trying on samples for her new swim line. In the show, she's like trying on samples. I think in real life, she just released it a couple weeks ago, I think. I feel like I've been seeing people post pictures of it. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm interested because she says that her problem is finding good bathing suits for bigger boobs, which is a problem that I relate to for sure. I also have bigger boobs, so sometimes it can be hard to find like a cup size that fits right. But what I really want from people, what my actual problem is finding bikini bottoms that aren't thongs. That's when is somebody gonna be brave enough to create a swim line where the bottoms are just normal ass bottoms and they don't show my entire butt hanging out at the beach? That's what I want. The cup size thing, it's like, whatever. If the cups are improperly sized, we can deal with it. But I just really want bottoms that are not gonna just show my entire butt and be like this little, in the front, it's like this little thin little strip. I'm like, guys, like, life isn't like a Princess Polly commercial. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we need to be practical. There are kids at these beaches. I'm at the pool with my parents. It's like, I can't be wearing this stuff. I need somebody to come out with bathing suits that are like, not even I'm not trying to be like a modest girly, just like normal. Like, I want it to cover everything that my underwear covers. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, the pirate party is starting. Sierra's costume, I completely forgot that Sierra does these elaborate costumes for these parties. I don't know why I forget every year and then she comes out in the costume. She is dressed as, I don't know if she's supposed to be a seagull or a pelican. She is dressed as some sort of seabird. She looks crazy, as usual, in the best way. It reminds me so much. I wonder if she took inspiration from when Heidi Klum does her Halloween parties. You know when Heidi Klum does her Halloween parties and she always purposefully wears these like hyper realistic, like nasty costumes. Like one year she dressed as a worm and she literally had SFX makeup and this whole worm costume and she like laid down on the floor. Do you remember that? I feel like Sierra is taking inspiration from her and it's iconic. I mean, it's so great. I would be so curious to see who helps her put these costumes together. Like, I don't know if I get the vibe that Sierra's like crafty. I don't know if she's like in her apartment in New York, like sewing all of this stuff together, but like it delivers every single time. I'm obsessed. Paige tells Amanda about her conversation with Craig in the last episode when they were talking about her career getting busy and Craig being like, I've never been such a submissive guy in a relationship, that conversation. Paige tells Amanda that she told Craig that she wants him to feel like a priority, but she's not gonna lie, like work is going to come first a lot of the time. I literally love that for her. I love that for her. I feel like in this respect, she's making the right decision, which makes me so happy. I feel like I'm so used to like, even with people in my real life, like people I know, but also like influencers I see on the internet or just like random, like even when I'm watching TV, like whatever, like I'm so used to seeing the girl give up her career for a guy, move for the guy, move away from her friends and family, like become a stay-at-home mom even though she didn't want to, like Cameron from Southern Charm. Like I'm so used to seeing girls just defer to what the guy wants that like it is so nice to see Paige being like, yeah, Craig, I get where you're coming from, but my career is gonna come first. I'm so happy she's doing that. And then she says that she has a feeling that when she goes on tour, she's gonna hate Craig, which is so interesting. That is, I mean, if there's ever like foreshadowing of the breakup, like that is it. There's been so much foreshadowing before, but like when you are in this position where your career or your education is about to level up significantly and you start to feel like you don't really want to bring your partner along for the ride, that is like when you start planning your exit strategy. I have broken up with I've broken up with a few guys because I was just moving into a next phase in my life and I was just like, I don't want to be on like FaceTime with you, or I don't want to have to like deal with prioritizing this relationship when I want to be prioritizing my education or this opportunity. That was the reason I broke up with my first boyfriend and a couple boyfriends after that. So I like know this feeling that she's talking about. And like the last place you want to go to is a place of resenting your partner because you're like, oh, you're just an obligation now. Like, oh, I'm obliged to talk to you a certain amount of times a day. Oh, I have to go on dates with you because it's date night, even though I'm really busy and I'd rather be doing this thing. Like, I totally understand that feeling. Carl's girl gets to the party and she's very beautiful. She's a really beautiful girl and she tells him he looks like a lemur. And does he look like a lemur? I actually do see it. I can see who is the lemur from Madagascar. I feel like Carl is sort of giving that in a way that I can't quite explain. But he is giving the lemur from Madagascar. What's his name? King something. Ramon? He's giving the lemur from Madagascar. Paige and Craig are talking in a floaty that's just like on the ground. I don't know what that situation was. There's like a floaty on the ground and there's a blue tarp. I don't know if it's supposed to symbolize like the sea. But they're in a floaty on the ground on a blue tarp. And Paige says this like incredible rich girl line. She goes, you know, I don't do well in boats under 52 feet. I dream of one day being able to say a line like that. That's really funny, actually. And then they kind of just restart the conversation that they had at the end of the last episode. She's just like, I don't want you to resent me because I'm working a lot. Like, my career has developed so much since we last met, and I don't feel bad about it, and I shouldn't feel bad about it. And Craig is like, well, sometimes you make me not want to bring up any concerns because you're just gonna attack me and make me feel like I'm not supporting you. And it's like, I just feel like this is the conversation they've been having for years. And it's just as Paige's career grows, the conversation is evolving. But the core of this conversation is the same, which is that she doesn't want to move to Charleston and she never wanted to move to Charleston. Like, he's known this. It would be one thing if Paige was like, in the beginning of the relationship, like, oh my God, yeah, I would love to move to Charleston and be a stay-at-home mom in Charleston. Yes, let's plan on that. Maybe not now, maybe in the next 3 years we'll do it. And then now she's having a switch up and she's changing and Craig is like, well, whoa, what happened to what we talked about before? I would understand Craig's frustration then, but it's like, she literally has never committed to moving to Charleston with you, and she's actually actively talked about how much she does not want to do that. And I mean, I just don't know. It's like, when you're in a relationship, how many times can you have the same conversation over and over? I just think both of them are two very headstrong people, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being headstrong. But in every relationship, I heard this on a podcast. I think I talked about this in another video before. I heard on a podcast once, every relationship has a rock and a star. And one person, the rock, is gonna be like the support, the calmer person. Maybe they need a little less attention, they're more introverted. And the star is the star. The star is higher maintenance. The star likes the spotlight a little more. The star maybe has a lot going on in their lives. And I feel like Paige and Craig both want to be stars. And I think the problem is, I mean, in my opinion, Paige and Craig both want to be stars, but Paige's career is more at like star level than Craig's is. And I have a feeling that probably makes Craig feel really inadequate. And then the episode ends rather abruptly. It kind of just ends on that note. And I did not see a preview for the next episode. It wasn't like ready on Peacock when I was watching. So who knows where we go from here? I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like we're definitely going to get part 2 of like Craig and Paige's conversation. He's there for the whole weekend, and I think this is just the first day. So I don't know. I think we'll probably get him and Kyle to make up, because I don't think this drama is going to last another episode. I feel like that next episode they're going to wrap it up. This isn't going to be like a whole season long storyline. But we'll see. I feel like we left it on a very like, it didn't feel like much of a cliffhanger. So now I'm like, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be looking forward to next episode. Probably more of this like Paige and Craig stuff. How long is the average Summer House season? We're only on episode 6. Doesn't Summer House have like 15 or 16 episodes? I'm not sure what's gonna happen, to be honest, but I'm along for the ride. I'm liking this season so far. I do feel like I'm getting the sense of finality here. I know we talked about before, like, is this the last season of Summer House as a whole? Is this the last season with this cast? Are they gonna do a full reboot like they're doing with Vanderpump Rules? I'm not a huge fan of like the reboots. I'd rather you just end it and make a new show, but I can see it with this cast because everybody is kind of feeling a little tired of this. Like everybody, I just feels kind of over it to me. And I think a lot of these people don't really need Summer House anymore. I mean, Carl and Kyle need Summer House for sure. But I just think like, I don't know. They're getting a little old for this, which I mean, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We've been talking about that a lot. But that's it for this week. Sorry I missed recapping Beverly Hills last week. I was actually out of town and I didn't get a chance to watch it until this weekend. And there's already a new episode coming out in a couple days, so it's a little too late. But in a couple days, I'm going to have my recap of the next episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And we still have The Valley to look forward to coming up, I think next week or the week after, which is really exciting. In the meantime, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.